Hello everyone, and welcome back to another book review. I know, I promised one. It's not the one that I promised I was going to do, because I was going to post up a book review of A Heart So Fierce and Lonely, and I did film it, and I watched over it the other day after I said that I was going to post it up soon, and I watched it, and I hated it. So I was like, okay, I just said that I was going to do a book review, and didn't. So I was sick, but I have written up a new one. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because it's another book that I've just finished, and it is Supernova by Marissa Meyer. Now, I know that I was very tentative when deciding to start reading this book, because I was like, yep, read Marissa Meyer's Lunar Chronicles, started Heartless, didn't finish it. That's a whole other story. But then when she came out with this and it was superheroes, I was like, are we sure? Because fairy tales has worked for us, so are we sure that we're going with superheroes, Marissa? Are we sure? And yeah, we're sure. Yeah, we're super sure. Supernova is the third book in the series. I'm really good at doing reviews for third books, apparently. But probably just because I have a lot of emotions about end of series. I promise I will do a first book one eventually, maybe. Can't promise anything because we know what happens then. But yeah, so I'm going to be doing a similar sort of like layout to my Dark Dawn review, which was no spoilers first, and then we'll get to the emotional part after that. But yeah, so yeah, if you love Marissa Meyer's Lunar Chronicles, if you've read them and then you're like, oh yeah, superheroes. Sweet, awesome, super excited about it. Have faith. Have faith in our Marissa, because she did good, okay? She did good. In a time of superheroes, she did good, okay? Yeah, so, same thing again, so final books need devastation. Absolutely devastated. It is all sort of condensed at the end, but that's fine. That's fine. As long as you're devastated, you know, we're okay with that. Answers to questions. We had lots of questions. There was lots of questions. Lady Indomitable's death as a starting point with those questions. We got answers. Yeah, we got answers. And if you haven't read it yet and you're like, oh, but why is that relevant? Read it. You need, anyway, we'll get to that. Yes, the third point that a final book needs is that the end needs to feel final. And it did not. It absolutely did not. So I gave this book a 4-star review, simply because, one, it felt like it dragged out a lot, but then at the end it's like, oh, okay, I needed all this information. Sick. But it also didn't feel final. The epilogue had a huge cliffhanger. Huge, massive. Could have just like wiped out this whole series from the beginning. Yeah, that's right. That kind of cliffhanger. Yeah. So, yeah, that did not happen and did not feel final at all. Please give us a spin-off. Thank you, Marissa Meyer. Love you. Thanks. Character development. In the last book, I realized what the word was that I was trying to look for in the Dark Dawn review, and that was character realization. So that they've come full circle and they are a fully realized character. Yep. And we had 2 sets of that because of the 2 different perspectives that we have in these books. Yeah, So that was great. Loved that character realization. Love it. Comic relief. We did have a little bit of it. I mean, I feel like this book is sort of, it's written not young, but it's younger than what the, you know, like, it's not like a really like hugely like murderous, devastating book that you're like, oh my God, this needs to like ease up just like a bit. You're like, whoa, this is too much. But there was comic relief throughout the book, and it did sort of break up and sort of, it sort of like let you know that there's still like normal things happening while this like huge world altering thing is also happening. Yeah. So that's that. Tick for comic relief. I've also sort of added on this one, because it was a 4-star rating that I gave this book, I have also added another little bit, and that's things that I didn't enjoy about this book. So, super honest, we're gonna get to it though. But yeah, so yeah, I gave this book 4 stars, and like, that's, for the amount of books that I read, 4 stars is like basically top notch without being the toppest notch. But yeah, so that is the end of the spoiler-free review. Please read them. Honestly, Marissa Meyer seems to know how to take things that you wouldn't normally think to read about, and she's like, let's make this interesting. Because I was not into the whole cyborg Cinderella when I first started the Lunar Chronicles, and now I'm eating my words because it was a freaking amazing series, right? So I am also eating my words with this because I was so unsure about it, because superheroes in a young adult, like fantasy-esque sort of, I was very unsure. We need to have faith in our good authors, okay? We need to have faith. Yeah, okay. That is the end of No Spoilers. If you haven't read it, go away. Get out. Spoilers for days, right? Okay. So, Devastation. Yes, sorry, I keep looking over here. I have my notes. We are doing this structured, people. Devastation. Okay. So, I thought I was going to be devastated about when Nova was finally caught as being Nightmare, but that's not devastating, because, like, we were all like, yeah, look, we were expecting it, because you're literally in the same place every time she shows up. Coincidence? I think not. But I think that's also why she was then taken out of prison, because, like, coincidence? Maybe. No. The devastation lies almost solely on the fact that Adrian Everhart drew his mother's murderer when he was like 6 years old. Like, I didn't see that coming at all. When the phobia character came in and they're like, oh, we didn't know where he came from. We didn't even know, like, if he was human because he just, like, dissipated sometimes. I was like, yeah, like, okay. He's just, like, another renegade. Just because he's different doesn't mean he's different, okay? So don't be prejudiced. And then they explained this and I was like, oh, he is different. He's not actually a person. So Adrian created him out of his fear of, in his comics, he drew him and he came to life. The fact that his greatest fear was that his mother was never going to come back again. It's like, yeah, okay, wow. So that's why Phobia was all too happy to kill his mum. Love that. That's super devastating. And him being super not on board with it, it's like, sweetie, very sorry about this. That was really good. That was a really good, like, ouch. Another very big ouch for someone that was so pure and beautiful, for Callum to die, because again, phobia, evil. That was devastating. The Callum dying and like Magpie being like super devastated that she was like, oh no, it's my fault. And Nova was like, nah girl, it was Phobia's fault. And Magpie was like, nah girl, it's your fault too. That part wasn't devastating. The Callum dying bit was devastating. But yeah, oof. Also those little interactions between Nova and Magpie. Oof. So much sense by the end. But we're going to get to that bit. We're going to get to those emotions because that's a big one. Okay, so answers to questions. So the note left on Adrian's mum's body. So that was explained why Nova knew the lines that were on the note. So in the first book, Nova said exactly the same thing. So one cannot be brave who has no fear. So she said that to the Sentinel in the very first book. And then Adrian brings it up when she's in prison and he's like interrogating her. He's like, oh my God, why did you kill her? Blah, blah, blah. And she's like, what are you talking about? I don't understand. And he says it back and she's like, oh dang. Oh dang. Like, that's phobia. That's interesting. Maybe we should have a look at his comics. Adrian's comics, not Phobia's. So that was very good that we got the answer to like how that note was on his mum's body, how Phobia's note was on Adrian's mum's body. I'm very sorry, I'm getting very carried away now. And then Honey Harper like explained that Phobia always used to leave little notes, but it was like the character that Adrian had built, and oh, so good, so complex. It also answered the question of why the who they considered to be the strongest renegade, how she was able to be killed, because Phobia found out her worst fear was Adrian dying. So all Phobia had to do was like be holding a dead Adrian, and she literally just like fell out of the sky and died. I mean, that's a bit of an iffy sort of like description of it, but it gave us an answer. That's what this topic is about. Answers to questions. Where Phobia came from, we finally found out that, because they were like, oh, like, we don't even know if he's actually a renegade. Yep, that was a tick. And finding out why the renegades didn't save her family. So, like, right towards the end, Captain Chromium said that Lady Indomitable was watching over the Artino family's apartment the night that her parents and baby sister got shot and killed. So then Phobia was then sent to kill Lady Indomitable so the hired help could come in and shoot the place up. We also got the answer to how prodigies originally got their power. I just assumed that it was sort of just going to be like one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, this is just how the universe is. Some people have powers, some people don't have powers. That's it. Don't question it. That's what's happening. But we did get an explanation about that it was a supernova that exploded and the stardust fell to Earth and people absorbed it, but only when they were inflicted with this huge trauma, and so they were like imbued with these powers. Not bad. I understand it. The description, I think, was a little bit lacking, because it was just like sort of like this like conversation between Nova and Millie, and it was just like, oh yeah, didn't you know that? Oh, that's interesting. And then that was it. And then that was just how it was. It sort of like came up a little bit when Max, right at the end, had like sucked all of the powers out of everyone. But yeah, that's literally, yeah, that was just the only description that we got. Yeah. Okay. Now the biggest point in this review. So the end feels final was a no, was a big fat no, because the epilogue was Magpie watching the parade, just like Nova had in the very first book, and she was like, ugh, God, okay, whatever, like, ugh, renegades, how stupid, whatever. And she goes and steals a brooch, and Cyanide, Leroy, like, sees her and, like, smiles at her, and she's like, oh my God, like, he spotted me, interesting. She walks away, and she's like, oh yeah, like, all I have in my pockets is this and my bullet, and that's the reason why I have my powers, because when I was a baby, I was shot, and all my family was killed, and I think my older sister just, like, ran away and just didn't check if I was still alive. Magpie was Nova's sister this whole time? Excuse me? You want to give me this in, like, this much of a chapter? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are we getting a spin-off series? That was literally the last chapter in this series. And I'm like, it has to be a spin-off series that comes out of this. You know? Because I need to know that Magpie and Nova reunite. And it's like, oh, all of this, like, annoyingness is just, like, sibling love. And we just want to kill each other because, you know, we're siblings. And that's just what we do. But the last line, and that it was, you know, some people were always meant to be superheroes, just as some people are always meant to be villains. That's just, like, the perfect line. Like, are we just going to get, like, just villains? Like, is she just going to not have the realization that Nova does, and it's like, oh, wait, I'm a good person. I don't want to be a villain. What's the go? So I need a spin-off series. The end did not feel final. Are we going to have a 4-book series, like with the Lunar Chronicles? Is that what we're going to do? Is that what's happening? Can we please have some information? Please? Yes. So Magpie's Evie. What? Amazing. I mean, that just sort of, like, it made the last book. It did. It really did. It felt really good that like was huge, but it's like it was right at the end. It was like the last thing that you saw, and it's like, I don't like that it was right there. No, I don't. Oh, also, to make it really feel like final, I would have liked to sort of have, like, a little bit, like, just before, like, that epilogue even, just to sort of say, oh, you know, the renegades aren't going to be the all ultimate power as the government and whatever, you know? Like, there should be, like, this other form of law enforcement. I understand that everyone has powers now. I get it. Whatever. But there should be a regular law enforcement, and there should be judge, jury, trials, you know, not just like, the council said so you gotta die. You get your powers neutralized and you're getting executed. Ha. No. So I would have liked, I mean, it feels very, like, political of me to say that, but I'm like, no, that's not how the world works. You gotta have that justice system, right? That feels really weird for me to say. I feel very adult. Ugh. Okay. Character development and realization. Okay, so we had a very big, like, Nova had her character realization probably, like, right as she got caught as Nightmare, right? So she was in prison, and she was like, wait, hang on. Why do we have to be villains? We're just different. And so why don't we just, like, move? Why do we have to stay here? Can we just move? Like, is that all right? Can we just not do this anymore? And because she was having all these conflicting feelings, because she's like, I'm not bad, but I'm a villain. But I'm a good person, so why should I try and like tear down the renegades when it's like a lot of them are doing good things, you know? I liked that sort of like realization, and then she sort of went backwards a little bit when she was then again found out to be Nightmare and just let Honey Harper cut out all like 2 of Adrian's tattoos, and it's just like, excuse me, you're a good person, remember, don't forget that. Yeah, so, you know, that was a nice little like character development moment, when she just sort of thought, well, I've always listened to Ace, but maybe he's not right about this, maybe he could be wrong. And that, I think, was really good, because she just sort of like idolized him so much that she was blinded by it, and she was like, no, look, why don't we just do it differently? Love that for you. Adrian's character like realization came much later, I feel, especially because like I was very surprised with how angry he was when he visited Nova in prison, because he's usually very level-headed and is like, look, what the fuck's the hat, right? What's going on? Why are you doing this? Why'd you do it? Whatever. But, and it's like, I get it, like he thought that Nightmare had killed his mum, etc., etc. But I just felt like it was like a really hectic sort of like, whoa, like, I don't know. Right in the beginning, he did not have his moment to develop his character, but he did the second time that he found out that Nova was Nightmare, in the fact that he was just like, every time like she would point her gun at him, he was like, you're a good person, like, I know you're not going to shoot me because you're not that dumb, and I know that you are actually good, and you do, you know, you dig what I'm dishing out here. That was cringy. Anyway, you like, you know, like he's like, I know that you love me, so I know you're not going to shoot me, and he's like, I know that you don't think that this is the right thing to be doing, so again, you're not going to hurt me. You'll let someone else do it, but you're not going to hurt me, you know? Yeah, that was his sort of, that's what I felt, you know? And then also, like, there was sort of a few minor ones, minor sort of character realizations in the fact that, like, Leroy, in the end, sort of was just trying to help all of the other prodigies just get out rather than going out into the fight with Ace, because Ace was very all-consuming in the end. So he was just like, no, like, we don't have to be here. We don't have to keep doing this. We don't have to keep living like this. I was bullied and I had chemicals thrown on me, and is this how I'm going to continue going on? You know, I liked that. That was nice. Also, probably a little character realization was that Magpie was like, yeah, look, I probably don't want to be a renegade anymore. Probably just gonna go and do villainous stuff for now. So, like, cool, let's do that. And I was like, yeah, okay, it's not a good character realization, but you do you, boo. Comic relief. So, like I said, it was sort of, it's a younger sort of written one. It's not young. So, look, I'm almost 26 years old, and I read it, okay? I enjoy my young adult. But it didn't need a lot of comic relief, because it wasn't really, really dark and heavy and rare, except for the fact, you know, the first book was probably the deepest, darkest bit, in the fact that all of her family got shot. When I found out that the baby got shot, I was like, whoa, that's intense. But then, you know, the baby survived, of course. But yeah, so the comic relief I found was sort of like Oscar and Ruby's sort of back and forth. So them always complaining about there being no food, or like talking about going to get food. I live for that, because that's real life. Or it's my real life anyway. So it's like, I really liked that it sort of broke it up. And like I said earlier, that it sort of broke up that really sort of heavy, like world altering situation that was happening elsewhere, and they were just kind of like, oh my god, like I really like him, and he's like, oh my god, I had to tell her she's the girl of my dreams, oh my god, like nothing else matters to me. And it's like, yes, I like this breaking up of it, and you absolutely, you go get her. Yes, and he did very well in the end with his little speech to her. Loved it. Okay. Yeah, little bit of comic relief. Love that. Things I did not enjoy. So one of the things that sort of brought me back to a 4-star rather than the full 5 was that it felt like the start dragged out more than what it needed to. But in saying that, at the end of it, I was like, oh, okay, so we needed this information. Yeah, cool, all right. But when you're like in that first half and you're like, when does it end? It doesn't feel like that 5-star. When you get a 5-star, it's like, oh my god, yeah, I need all of this. This is great. I love this. Yes. Whereas like a 4-star's like, yep, okay, all right. And then it's like, oh my god. So great. Still a great read, but not that full potential, you know? Also, the fact that literally every bad thing in this series was reflected entirely onto Ace Anarchy. Like, I get it. He's a bad dude. I understand. But in saying that, I don't believe that absolutely everything evil should have been because of Ace, you know? Like, Phobia already knew that Adrian's worst fear was his mum never coming back. So it's like, when right at the end they were like, oh, you know, like, obviously Ace sent Phobia out to kill Lady Indomitable so that his hired help could get in. It's like, but did Phobia just decide to go and it was good luck that old mate got in and shot them? Iffy. Yeah. I found that. Captain Chromium. So throughout the whole series, I was very like, you're a bit douchey, okay? Like that proper, like, pure gold, like, I know everything that's going to make everything better for everyone. That kind of douchey, you know? Sorry, I can hear something outside and it's very creepy. Yeah, and then right at the end, he's like, oh no, like, I'm a sincere human being. Like, I can't believe that you're the Artino girl that got away. Like, oh my god, we've been trying to look for you, and I just want to apologize that we weren't there to save you. And it's like, yeah, but you sent someone. I understand that you're sorry about it, but you haven't been like this for the entire time. Like, you literally had her death order on your desk, and you're like, yep, this will get rid of Janissa Clark's, like, whininess. Yep, let's kill Nova. No. There are always, you can't just be, like, all good. I don't think so. The character cannot be all good. I didn't like that it just sort of, yeah. Anyway, whatever. Yeah. That's all I didn't like. Yep. So yeah, so that's, I mean, yeah, just, that's how I feel. I feel very deflated now. This is very cathartic for me doing these reviews. But yeah, this is your book review that I promised in the last video. I'm sorry it wasn't Heart So Fierce and Broken like I did promise, but I didn't like it. It was not this structured, and it was just like a mumbo jumbo bleh, which is kind of what this was, but this is a more like constructive mumbo jumbo. But yeah. Okay, well, I hope you liked the review. Tell me what you think about it in the comments. Yeah, and I'll do some more reviews because it does feel very cathartic for me. Okay, thanks everyone. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!